Today we're going to wait just another 30 seconds to allow some attendees to hop in before we start our broadcast with One America and their asset care product.
So, Greg, where are you dialing in from today?
I'm in the Twin Cities.
Oh, you are? Oh, you're up here?
Yeah,
oh, that's cool.
I live up in Circle Pines.
Oh, that's far from me. That's the other end of the world. I'm down in Shakopee.
Are you? Okay.
Yep.
Because your guys'
other end of the world.
Office is Coon Rapids, right?
What's that?
Yeah, we have a couple of them. Yeah, we have Coon Rapids and we have Fairmont, a couple of them. Sure. Yep. By the way, I was going to get you Don and Mo's info, so I'll still do that.
Okay.
Yep. All right.
Yeah,
you guys want
south in Fairmont where the weather's like, it's down south, right? So it's much warmer down there.
I think you can get an extra 2 degrees.
Tropical.
Super warm.
All right.
So people are loading in. So why don't we get started? So I'm going to introduce Greg. Thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. We have on our call today, Greg Mance from One America. I actually work with Greg over at Voya. Great guy, tons of years of experience. Greg's been with One America since 2019. He is a certified financial planner, been in the industry since he graduated from Concordia College in 2006. Greg has worked with ING, Voya, and Thrive in the past, and worked in many areas of the industry, including life insurance annuities, financial planning, and of course, long-term care. He partners with advisors to help them with their long-term care business at One America. He's a great resource for advisors to work with. He strives to be a regional contact for all advisors on the subject. He is a 2-time Eagle Award winner for the #1 territory within One America. Go, Greg. Congratulations. Born and raised in North Dakota, has 3 kids. Looks like a daughter and 2 sons and a dog named Pepper. And loves the outdoors, does, fishing, hunting, canoeing, the whole bit. Minnesota, warm and cold, winter included.
That's
so,
right. Yeah.
So he's a hardened, seasoned Minnesota guy. So with that, Greg, why don't you take it away and get started?
Yeah, okay. And before you do, real quick, if anybody has questions, we're going to field those at the end. Put those in the questions box. By the way, I'm Don with IFC, so just piping in.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Don.
Okay. Well, thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Hope everyone's having a great mid-December here as we're wrapping the year up. So what I'm talking about today specifically, we wanted to keep these sessions fairly short, fairly specific to a certain topic. And what I'm talking about today is an opportunity that we have at One America that's really unique. There's not a lot of companies that are in this space to begin with, and then we're the only company that has this particular solution in place. And the idea is to use IRA funds to fund a long-term care policy. There's a couple things that make our solution unique and frankly make it worthwhile. A couple things that really make it work so well. Number one, it's the ease of use. What we've done at One America is we have packaged a long-term care solution with a transfer from an IRA, and it's one package essentially. So it's all tied together nicely with a bow. We try to make it as simple as possible. So instead of having to kind of manage separate pieces, it's just one solution, and it's kind of set it and forget it. We put the policy in place, and then it takes care of itself as we go. So that's one thing that makes it worthwhile. The other thing is the interest. We give this money interest, and I'll explain how this works, but we give money interest when it comes to us at One America. That rate of return is really attractive. It's a guaranteed rate. Again, I'll talk through how that works. But the ease of use of this, the fact that it's all packaged in one little bow, and the interest really make it worthwhile for you guys to consider doing this. At One America, we have a lot of different solutions, a lot of different ways to fund our long-term care policies. And the goal is, having all these different options that we can meet your clients wherever they're at. So if they have, if they've got old annuities, we have something for that. If they have somebody that just wants to buy long-term care and pay annual premiums, we have that. If they have money sitting in CDs, savings, we have those options. Or this one is built specifically, again, for people that have IRAs. And I'll share with you just a short presentation that I have on this. And we'll open it up, as Wade mentioned, at the end for questions. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, everyone can see. I can see that screen there. So let me get my PowerPoint open. Okay, so what I want to share with you here, just a couple things. Number one, it's kind of the size of this. We're going to move through this fast, so I'm not going to go through all the slides. But I want to share the size of this market. So in 2024, we had $38 trillion in the U.S. retirement market. That's 3 out of 4 people have IRAs or 401ks. They have tax advantage retirement savings. And when we look at just again the size and I always ask advisors when I kind of present this in person, what percentage of your clients' assets are in retirement savings vehicles? And I usually hear something like 70%, and I think that's pretty common. And so what that tells me is most of your clients have most of their money in those assets. And so if we've got somebody that needs to address long-term care, if we've got somebody that's concerned about it, maybe they've been a caretaker in the past, or they've seen their grandmother go through it, or what have you. If long-term care is a problem for them, this is a great solution, because why would we take the assets that are already in a better place from a tax standpoint? We know money that's in that IRA bucket, in that 401k bucket, we know those dollars are going to be taxed at some point. So why would I take, if I've got a bunch of those dollars, why would I take the money out of another place that's already been taxed? To me, it makes a lot more sense to utilize the money that's in these accounts that's going to be taxed, whether they like it or not, in a couple years. And what we can do by using these monies to fund a policy is we can get it taxed now rather than later. We can remove some of the future taxation that they're going to have. We can reduce the size of their future RMDs. And if the clients are of age, we can even satisfy a lot of their RMDs with this process. So with that being said, let me just I'll kind of skip through some of this and just talk through who are our ideal clients for this. Okay, the ideal clients for this strategy are people that are 59 to 75. Why 59? Well, as you guys know, if someone is below 59 and a half, they take a distribution from their IRA, they're going to pay a 10% penalty on that. So we generally kind of limit this to people that are past that age of where they're going to get the 10% penalty. And then why 75? Well, once you get over 75, we just run into challenges with underwriting. We run into challenges where the pricing isn't quite as good. Not to say it can't work for a 77-year-old, but sometimes there's better ways to approach it. And if we're going to be kind of laser focused on this, really 59 to 75 is kind of the ideal spot. I would say probably 2/3 of the business is people somewhere around age 65. And the reason for that is because people get to 65 years old, they get to that retirement red zone where they start to put their plans in place, they start getting their ducks in a row. Of course, long-term care is part of that conversation. So this just goes really nicely with that. And then if these clients do have large IRAs, surplus IRAs, they might realize that, hey, I really am never going to use this money. I'm going to hold on to it. Maybe I'll take a little bit, but I'm going to take my RMDs when I have to. Most people that have larger plans, they don't take in distributions until they're forced to. Then they take their RMDs, they pay taxes. They're not happy with paying the taxes and having to take the distributions. So this is just kind of a way to get ahead of that, at least with some of the funds. I will also mention, though, that this works also exceptionally well for people that have inherited IRAs. Because when you have an inherited IRA, you have to distribute that IRA anyways. You've got 10 years to make a distribution, or to distribute the entire thing, rather. Our process actually does that for them. So if it's somebody that's like, say, 50 years old, and they inherit maybe $1 million from their parents that they don't necessarily need, they're just going to make the distributions that the government makes them take. They're going to pay the taxes, and then they're going to reinvest that money. This is a great solution for them, because rather than just taking a bunch of money that you frankly probably don't need, you can reinvest in reinvesting it. You can have a long-term care policy paid for and done at the end of that 10-year period. Of course, anytime we're talking about long-term care, really ideal clients are people that are concerned about long-term care. It's people that have a story. Frankly, if they've had to be caretakers, seen someone in their family go through it, those people are going to really be receptive and open to having a conversation about long-term care. So those are really the ideal people that we're looking for this. And let me kind of share with you how this process works. Skip through some of this stuff. So here's how we call this annuity funded whole life. The reason we call it annuity funded whole life is because we do an IRA transfer, and there's kind of an annuity in the middle of this that we use as kind of a vehicle, a holding tank, if you will, to distribute the IRA money into our life policy, our life long-term care solution. So here's kind of how this works. So let's say we've got a client. Let's go back to that example. Let's say they're 62 years old, and let's say in their retirement portfolio, they've got $1 million to $2 million. Doesn't have to be that big, but that's what we see a lot of. Why again larger numbers? Well, because we know that if they've got 2 million or $1 million in their qualified bucket, they're probably not going to use all of that, right? It's really a surplus IRA. So clients got this surplus IRA. We're going to take a piece of that, a slice. And so in this case, we're going to suggest $150,000. That $150,000 slice is going to be taken out of their qualified plan, out of their IRA, and it's going to be transferred to us at One America. Now that can be a direct IRA transfer if it's coming from an IRA. It can come from an inherited IRA. It can be a rollover from a 401k. Anything that's eligible to be moved into an IRA, we can utilize with this strategy. So number one, we determine how much they want to reposition. And for this client, again, we're going to reposition $150,000. So the second step to this is once the money gets to us at One America, so that transfer comes over, it's in an IRA over here at One America, we're then going to give it a bonus. And we give it a 25% bonus right up front. Okay, so that takes their 150, in this case, 25% is 37,000 and change. And it essentially increases the size of that holding tank or that transfer vehicle, that annuity that we put in place. So now we've got $187,000 in change in this IRA at One America. What the bonus is for, I get this question a lot. Why do you guys give them a bonus? Like, what's the point of that? Well, if you think about it, we're moving money out of the market potentially, or out of their current holdings. We're putting it over here, and then we're gonna take this money and we're gonna distribute it. Well, in the meantime, they're essentially losing the interest that they would have earned in their portfolios as it was. So the bonus is kind of a prepayment of interest, if you will. And it's 25% upfront, but then the balance, of course, of that is going down as we make distributions. So if you really think about it, and you crunch the numbers, it works out to just under 5.5% on their money. So when that money is in the annuity at One America, they're essentially earning 5.5% on that money every year. And when you think about it from the standpoint of a guaranteed rate of return, your clients are getting 5.5%. There's no market risk, 100% guaranteed. That's a pretty darn good deal. What we're then going to do is we're going to take that 187.5 over here at One America, and we're going to reach in every year for 10 years, once a year for 10 years, and we're going to pull 1/10 of that out. And so in this case, as you can see on the screen, that works out to $18,750 every year that comes out of the qualified plan. When that money comes out of the qualified plan, it's then going to be taxed. Okay, we can't get money out of an IRA without paying any taxes. But what we can do is, rather than having a huge tax hit up front, we can spread those taxes out over 10 years. And I'm not saying that $18,750 won't have a tax impact, but it is a pretty minimal impact, all things considered. So you're adding $18,750 of taxable income to your clients, to their ordinary income. Now, we can use the full $18,750 and just send them a 1099, or your clients can actually withhold out of that, and then we'll use the after-tax amount. So if they're not comfortable paying the taxes out of their own pocket, we can just withhold it, pay the taxes when we make that distribution, and then use the after-tax money to fund this. We can do it either way. We have that flexibility. So what happens then is the $18,750 comes out. We take that distribution, we keep it at One America, and then we use it to fund our asset care policy. And that's a long-term care policy that will cover both spouses potentially with one person's IRA. So it's just a very, very simple, easy way to use IRA funds to put a long-term care plan in place for your client. And let me just show you what that looks like here. So here we've got a 60-year-old couple that's putting this in place. Again, numbers are the same. 150 transfer, 37,000 and change bonus, repurposed asset of 187. We make that distribution of 18,750, and then that's going to fund our policy on a 10-year basis. And so here we can see premium is 10 years. Again, we're paying tax on the 18,750. That's going to buy both the husband and the wife an $83,000 per year long-term care benefit. So just about $7,000 a month per person. So that means then that if the husband needs care, he can get $7,000 roughly. If the wife needs care, she can get $7,000 roughly. That is a per person benefit, right? I just want to make that clear, and funded with one person's IRA. If they never need long-term care, we're going to pay out a death benefit, $166,000 and change, and that's going to be tax-free. So we've taken 150 taxable. If they don't need care, we've turned it into 166 tax-free. And if they need long-term care, then of course we've got $7,000 a month tax-free. How long does that benefit last? Well, we included our lifetime rider with this. So what that means then is it means that each of them are going to get the $7,000 a month, and they're going to get it forever if they need long-term care. We're not messing around with a 4-year benefit or a 6-year benefit. I hear all the time, hey, Greg, the average length of care is X. We only need to cover X. My suggestion would be, let's put the lifetime benefit in place. That's the best coverage we can buy. At a minimum, you should be showing your clients the lifetime benefit because we're the only company that offers that. That is the best long-term care benefit you can buy. And it's the only way that we can ensure that both the husband and the wife get the long-term care coverage that they need.
Hey, Greg.
So again, go ahead. Wade.
I'd just like to add to that regarding the lifetime benefit. So yes, they talk about averages, right? And they try to insure to the averages. And just real personal story. That's what my mom and dad did decades ago. Decades ago, they bought some traditional long-term care. Unfortunately, my mom passed away without using hers. So that was just kind of a lost policy. But my dad, he was actually being taken care of by my mother. And because he had, early onset dementia, Alzheimer's, that whole deal, he went into a nursing home and lived 11 years. Completely outlived his policy, didn't have the lifetime like this policy here. And literally within 4 years of his stay, we had to start liquidating everything.
Yeah.
So just want to just reiterate the importance of at least showing the lifetime benefit rider on that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I mean, we hear that all the time. I mean, the way I look at it is, yeah, you can play the average game. And at the end of the day, we just don't know. We have no way of knowing. And if you're in a position, your clients are in a position and they have the assets to just simply take the risk off the table, right? I would suggest that's a better solution. Because yeah, you might pay a little bit more for it because it is, of course, more expensive. It should be. But at the end of the day, if they need care, we know for a fact that they're going to be taken care of. And we don't run into that situation then. And I just think about, look, that's why we buy insurance, right? Our job is to make sure that if something bad happens, it's taken care of. Or again, we're not messing around with, is it a 5-year, 6-year, 3-year, what have you? Just take the risk off the table. And I think most people, when they sit across from you guys as the advisors and they want to fix the problem, the reason they're sitting there is it's to fix the problem. And so the lifetime doesn't just put a Band-Aid on it. The lifetime really fixes the problem. So the longer I do this, the more I just come back to the fact that, hey, if we can fix it, let's just fix it and be done with it, right? So, but thank you for sharing, Donna. I appreciate that. Okay, what I'm going to just wrap up with is this. I've got one other thing I'll share with you guys. And And just to confirm, you guys can see my screen right now, right? It wasn't just the PowerPoint. Don, can you?
Yeah, I definitely can see your screen. Yep.
Okay, perfect. So I just want to share this with you guys. We put a profile together to help you identify clients. At the end of the day, I've got good information here, but if you don't do anything with it, well, we've spun our wheels for half an hour here. So how can you take this information, go back to your clients, and make it impactful? The best thing you can do is fill out this profile. So just as I read through this, think about people that you have in your book of business that could benefit from this. Again, I've already read a lot of this, who the ideal clients are, but are people that are 59 and a half to 75. They're healthy enough for insurance coverage. They have a large IRA, 401k, 403b, etc. Maybe they've got a significant amount of guaranteed income. That's important because the more guaranteed income they have, the less reliance they're going to have on their assets for income. Someone that's got a family history of or has a need for long-term care. So maybe someone that's taking RMDs now, or we know they're going to have excess RMDs in the future. Someone that's expressed interest in long-term care, and it might even be somebody that has existing long-term care coverage. Well, why is that important? Well, if they've got existing long-term care coverage, it tells us that they're serious about fixing the problem. Odds are, especially with their existing coverage, that it's probably not, at this point anyways, what they want. We've seen so many changes with rate increases, etc. Clients have had to reduce their coverage amounts to freeze their premiums. They've had to drop inflation riders. They've had to pull some levers to make the premiums more manageable. Maybe there's a way that we could just reposition some assets, take care of the problem, and then they don't have to worry about those future increases. So think about people in your book that fit this, and then fill this profile out. What's their name, spouse, what's the balance of their IRA? This gives you the information that you need to prepare you to have that conversation. At the end of this profile, key questions. How do we initiate this conversation? What do you have to do to start that conversation with the client? And it's important to think about what objections are they going to have so that you can answer those ahead of time or have answers ready. If the clients have, as you go through this, if they have additional questions, Wade's there to help you out. I'm happy to get on a call with you guys as well to talk through this with your clients. We've got all the support in the world to help you guys. But at the end of the day, how do you make this half hour impactful for you? Take this profile and use it. The people that use the profile, they do really well with it. And I think there's a reason, right? When you write something down, it becomes real. So with that, Wade, I'm going to flip it back over to you. And thank you for your time.
Greg, thank you very much. Awesome job as always. I want to reiterate that, I get so many calls from agents whose clients approach them when something happens. Don, you mentioned your parents. So they have a situation where I see it a lot around the holidays too. They hear about Uncle Bob, or they hear about, their cousin or their dad, or, someone in their family, in their life that they know and they love that is going through a difficult time and they need care. And when that happens, and then the wheels start spinning, they think we better do something for ourselves to protect ourselves. And so a product like this comes into play because it's so great to see people, people have assets that they accumulate over time. They're saving for retirement. But if they don't do anything, the asset just kind of sits there. Maybe they don't even need it. But it's essentially the whole ticking tax time bomb, type deal, where if they're not going to do anything with it, they're going to have to pay taxes on it. They may never use it. So why not put that money to work into a product that not just helps them, but their spouse as well? So a lot of nice features on this product. If you guys have questions on it, let me know. I'm happy to help out. Greg, if you could send me that form, and what I'll do is I'll send an email out to all attendees today and let them know, hey, think about clients that you guys have. Complete this, and then we can have a discussion. I'll do some follow-ups as well to talk to you guys to find out if there's maybe some clients that you're working with where you think this might be a good fit for. But again, if you guys have any questions, let me know, and I'm happy to help out. Greg as well, as he's also a great resource. Feel free to contact him as well. But anything we can do, let me know. Don Teagues is our concierge rep who's on the call as well. He's happy to help out. He can actually help out at point of sale as well too. So if you're working on a case and maybe you don't feel super, comfortable having a conversation, you want someone to kind of do a little bit of deeper dive with the clients, Don's a great resource for that as well too. So we'll get you all teed up depending on your situation. That's all I have. I was going to share my screen, show my contact information if you guys have any questions. Don, anything you wanted to add at all, or?
No, just other than if you have questions, feel free to put those questions back in the questions box. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and pop up your screen there. We did have one question here regarding, does this work for someone that has a new dementia diagnosis? And the answer to that is probably not. Because usually, two of the 6 ADLs or a cognitive issue, or if they can no longer perform 2 of 6 ADLs or have that cognitive issue, yeah, you're not going to be able to get any form of long-term care, whether it's traditional life insurance, annuity, that annuity with the long-term care. You might be able to get an annuity with a doubler of the income, but traditional LTC, unfortunately, it's already too late if they have a diagnosis with dementia.
Yep, you're spot on, Don. I might even say it this way: you can still utilize the annuities that have like the ride, like you said, the doublers, but you're not going to be able to get any sort of tax-free long-term care solutions for somebody that's that far advanced with it. So that is one thing, and I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but I know it's in the profile. They do have to be healthy enough to qualify for insurance coverage.
Perfect. Yeah. So any other questions, feel free to put that in the questions box. Otherwise, we'll probably wrap up here. Hey, look at that. We're like 3 minutes shy of our half-hour mark. Greg, you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
Great job.
And the one thing I do like about One America, and I've been working, and Wade's been working with One America. We've been working with One America for, I've been in the FMO space for about 12 years now, and I've since day one working with One America. I just love the ease of use of working with One America, especially when it comes to their claims, right? They definitely have a leg up on that for your clients, that if they ever do go on claim, One America is just a top-notch company with their concierge and their services and everything else. So if Greg, as we round this out here, we've got a couple more minutes. Do you want to just chit-chat a little bit about that with the company?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I mean, again, we've got a lot of solutions, but at the end of the day, if someone were to ask me what's our biggest advantage, I would say it's the claims. I mean, the most important thing, and I've kind of said this my whole career, it's not the bells and whistles of the product. That's all nice stuff. But at the end of the day, the most important thing about an insurance policy is the company behind it. You need to work with a company that's going to keep their promises. Wade and I have got some experience with a past employer and a past insurance company where that's maybe not as clear as we would like it to be, right? But that actually, it taught me a lesson, and that was the lesson that I learned. We are a mutual company at One America. That's important because when tough decisions are made, in a stock company, a lot of the times that's made on behalf of the shareholders. And in a mutual company, the policy owners are the people that own the company. So decisions are made on behalf of the policy owners. So we're a mutual company. We're A+ rated. Our Comdex is 95, so we're very highly rated. And we've been doing this for almost 40 years. We created the idea of asset-based long-term care. So that means we've got more experience paying claims than anybody else does in this business. Again, the reason is just because we've been doing it so long. So we've got our claims process down pretty well. We've got a great reputation for claims, as you alluded to, Don. And when you client, I think again, most important, the experience for your clients. When they make a claim, we assign a person in the home office to that claim. So let's just say it's Wendy. Okay, family makes a claim, they call Wendy, they email Wendy, they fax Wendy, they talk to Wendy. Wendy's their point of contact. She's our concierge. She helps quarterback that entire claim for the family. And, long-term care claims are never easy, but this makes it about as easy as it can be. So So that's that. So at the end of the day, I think that probably is our biggest advantage.
All right,
Awesome.
perfect.
That's
So
great.
we're at the top of the hour, or bottom of the hour, sorry. So Wade, go ahead and let's finish it off.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Appreciate this. Again, if you guys have any questions, my contact information is on the screen. Let me know. I'll be following up with attendees as well, and I'll be sending out an email with that form. Think about, again, the clients you guys have that might fit. Maybe you're not sure. You guys want to have a conversation. I'm happy to have that discussion with you as well, too. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We're going to be having our next Gold Standard Series webinar on, Don, help me out here. What is it? It's the first Tuesday. So what is that? The 4th?
Yeah, that would be January 6th.
January 6th. And that is going to be, we're going to be going over our 3 threats webinar. Don and I will be presenting that. So again, 10 o'clock a.m., January 6th. And we'll be having some more Greg Mance at One America on for some future Gold Standard Series as well, too. So thanks a lot, Greg, for joining us today and going over this. We greatly appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions, be sure to let us know.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. You guys take care.
Bye.
Yep. See you guys.